Hi, I'm Anna Olson. You're here, I'm here, so that means you're watching Oh Yum, the hot place on YouTube for great recipes and a growing community of passionate home cooks and food lovers. I have a great recipe to share with you, and if you're hosting a holiday open house, of course you have to have a vegetable platter, a crudité plate. This is not your dry raw broccoli kind of crudité platter. I have such a colorful assortment of vegetables, but really what makes this platter is my avocado yogurt dip and my olive raspberry tapenade. Yes, you heard that right. But before I get right into the recipes, you want to subscribe to this channel because there's always fun stuff and new recipes to look forward to. So let's get right into the dips, because if you were preparing a platter for an open house, you could do the dips a day, even 2 days ahead. I'll start with my avocado yogurt dip, which while I love it for a holiday open house, it is a year-round dip for me. In fact, it replaces mayonnaise on a sandwich. So it starts with a ripe avocado, and I tend to buy more avocados in the winter than I do in the summer. It's more readily available, affordable, and it always ripens on its own. Oh, that's a gorgeous avocado. I'm gonna cut the pit out by quartering the portion of the avocado with the pit. That way it pops out easily. And I'll just use a spoon to scoop it out. When I'm buying avocado, sometimes I look towards the back of the grocery store near the produce delivery, because often there's a table or a rack there where they sell items that are a little ripe. That's where I buy my bananas for my banana bread recipes. And I find that's where the ripe avocados are, right at their peak when you want to use them that day. If you want to make this avocado dip and your avocado isn't quite ripe, if you have a day, what you want to do is put it in a paper bag with a fruit like a banana or pear that self-ripens. That accelerates the ripening, and in a day, your avocado will be ripe. What I particularly love about this recipe is that unlike guacamole, this dip stays nice and bright and green. And I think it's the combination of ingredients that I add to it. I have Greek yogurt here. You can use non-fat yogurt if you want, but I like the Greek yogurt for the thickness. I add 6 tablespoons of rice vinegar. You could use lime juice, but then it will take on a guacamole flavor. But that level of acidity really helps keep the avocado nice and bright. Now for the other green ingredients that add to the green color, a couple of green onions. And remember, as you're watching, the recipe is right below on the description, so you don't have to keep tabs on what I'm doing. Just sit back and relax. Well, and maybe get a little bit hungry. You can use a food processor for this, but I do like the fact that a blender makes this nice and smooth. Now, you can use an assortment or a single fresh herb. I do insist you have to use fresh herbs. You can't use dried here. You won't get that same color and fresh flavor. But you can really lean it or tailor it to your tastes. If you love fresh basil, put in all fresh basil. If you really like the onion flavor, put in more green onion and maybe some chives. I have a combination of some of my favorites. Fresh coriander, fresh basil leaves, some dill sprigs. I find people are sometimes surprised that you can use herbs like this in such a combination. Mint is a beautiful companion to fresh basil. They both complement each other. You don't have to use just one herb at a time. Mix it up, and you'll find which is your favorite combination. I'll give this a little pinch of salt. What you'll notice is I'm not adding any additional oil to the dish. You've got the creaminess from the yogurt, but it's non-fat, so the only fat is from the avocado itself. So it really is quite virtuous. A treat sometimes, and something you need around holiday time. If you're eating the big ham and going for the cheese platters, to have a good healthy dip and some vegetables can hit the spot sometimes. Now I'll pulse this. There we go. That's all it takes. So unlike guacamole that starts turning brown within a few hours, this stays green for 2 to 3 days. It's got a beautiful thickness to it, and this is a multi-purpose dip for me. I use it, as I mentioned, as a sandwich spread in place of mayonnaise. I use it as a creamy salad dressing. If I'm making a potato salad, oh, it's spectacular. But as its original function as a dip, it really does hit the spot. Even if you're doing poached chilled shrimp as part of your holiday open house, this makes a nice dip alternative to the traditional cocktail sauce. So I'm just gonna set that aside for a minute so I can move on to my tapenade. For my next dip, I've switched from a blender to a chopper. You can use a full-size food processor if you want to, but the recipe fits into the smaller version. Now this is my raspberry olive tapenade. I know it sounds crazy, but on a vacation once to France, I went to a beautiful market in the south, and they had a stall that was all devoted to tapenades of different flavors. And the one that caught my attention was one made with black olives and fresh raspberries, and it was phenomenal. And ever since then, I always put fresh raspberries in my tapenade. That bitter, salty character of the olive with the sweet flavor of the raspberry and that hint of perfume is just mind-blowing. And you really will surprise your guests. Don't tell them that the raspberry's in there, make them guess. So I've got pitted Kalamata olives here, 1.5 cups. And just like that avocado dip, this is a make-ahead. Keeps in the fridge for days and days and days. I have fresh raspberries here, just 1/2 cup, but of course you can use frozen because midwinter, if your raspberries aren't the best looking or best tasting, you can opt for frozen here. It's all getting pureed together. I do like the punch of sun-dried tomatoes, and it really gives the tapenade a bit of structure. And you can't have tapenade without garlic, so a single garlic clove. Just zest that right in. You could just coarsely chop it if you want, but I need my rasp out to add some lemon zest. This keeps the tapenade from being too heavy. And I will add the juice of this lemon too. So it's a nice bit of a warm weather taste that you're serving midwinter if you're serving this for your holiday open house. Woo! That's a juicy lemon. A little bit of fresh basil. And I don't add salt to this dip because the olives are already salty enough. The sun-dried tomatoes too. But I do put in a generous amount of black pepper. I'll add a touch of extra virgin olive oil now, but I don't want to add too much. I don't want to turn this into a greasy dip, but it really depends on the moisture in the olives, how much oil you need to add. I'll start pulsing this. There we go. You can actually see that pink color come out from the raspberries and of course the sun-dried tomato. Now where the avocado dip I pureed until it was smooth and creamy, when you're making a tapenade, you want to cut down the olives into small pieces, but you don't want to puree it until it's smooth. Almost there. Beautiful. And I'll transfer this to a bowl. So as I mentioned before, this is a make ahead. You can make it a couple days ahead. And it's versatile as well. It's a great dip with fresh vegetables. It's also beautiful spooned alongside a piece of baked or grilled fish like salmon or shrimp skewers. And just like the avocado dip, I even use this if I want to make a Mediterranean potato salad. All right, I have my 2 dips. Now it's time to talk vegetables. I'll be right back. All right, I've already arranged my vegetables. I'd like to chat about the vegetables for a second because this isn't your everyday assortment of raw broccoli, raw cauliflower, and maybe some sad celery sticks. I've used a damp paper towel to keep everything nice and fresh looking, and you can get this all ready just hours ahead of your party. And there's a fun mix here. In the world of raw vegetables, I've got some staples, like carrots, but I go for the ones with the stem, and I just scrub the outside and cut them in half. I've got cucumbers, actually one of my favorite raw vegetables to eat. I've got radishes for a nice hit of crunch, but also you've got colorful peppers and fennel, which is definitely a winter vegetable, and that hint of licorice flavor is beautiful with the avocado and the olive dip. Zucchini is great, it's soft and easier to eat. Little button mushrooms, tomatoes, but also you can blanch and serve even partially cooked or fully cooked vegetables. I love potatoes, and if you take these little mini potatoes and dip them in that avocado dip, ooh, hello. And even green beans that you can blanch. I don't cook them as fully as if I were to serve them with butter next to my roasted turkey or ham, but I cook them about 3/4 of the way, drain them, run them under cold water, and then all of the vegetables I pre-cut, wrap in damp paper towel, and keep them chilled until it's ready to bring them all out. So you can really work with the colors here. And then you can see that I placed my dishes in place for the dip before I arranged the veggies, and then I just have to spoon them in. If you're going to a potluck open house and you're asked to bring the vegetable platter, well, you will blow people's minds if you show up with this. People might even go for the veggies first. So there we have it, my winter crudité platter with raspberry olive tapenade and avocado yogurt dip. Really a beautiful, colorful addition to an open house buffet setting, and I really wish you a happy holiday. And a healthy one too.